Hello everyone, I'm Kritika and welcome to Chai Chats. Today we have with us Manas Malla, a second year CSE student and the founder of STEM Quest, a startup incubated at VDC Vishakhapatnam.
Thank you so much, Kritika, for having me today. It feels so enthusiastic to be here today.
Okay, Manas, so we'll just get right into it.
Definitely.
Tell me about STEM Quest.
Okay, STEM Quest. It's something that came actually out of our hearts and of our frustrations. So it all started off as a story. I want to share a story. So it all started off when I just joined in Geetham. It was all a new place. I started out. I met one person. That person is my Salar today, if I can call it.
Okay.
So we were just chit-chatting, and then one day he said, "Bro, I'll send you a location on WhatsApp. Please come there." I took my cycle. I went for a 12-kilometer cycle, and when I went there, it was a park actually. And that park was not a park which a BTech student would actually go. When you believe in park, I believe it would be the park hotel where he would actually drink. But it was not that park. It was a Buddha park. And he was sitting under a tree meditating. And then finally I just went and I asked him, "Bro, that is not usually how you are. Why are you sitting under this Buddha tree and meditating?" And then do you have any guesses on how the answer he gave?
He was stressed.
Nope. His voice was super loud, and the only statement which he said is
Frustration, bro. Frustration.
Yeah, that's the dialogue, man. Frustration, bro, frustration. And then I asked him, "You're 19. What's the frustration that you have? You haven't even seen life." And then the answer that he told me, "Learning is my biggest frustration." And that has actually shaken me a lot. It has taken me back to my days when I was studying in the United States. I've come from a background where I've studied in the United States till my second grade. And that was one pivotal moment for me because the learning that I did in the United States, it was totally different than what was there in India. A major factor of what today's students have is actually they're very scared about their 11th and 12th. And all of us know why it is.
Yes.
जब बच्चा पैदा होगा, like when the like son or daughter is born, on the birth certificate itself we write it down. Is he an IIT student? Or is
Or
he
a
a NEET
doctor?
student?
Yeah.
NEET student. So that is something that many people in India do. But we said, are you actually meant to be born for those two itself? Or isn't actually learning to be actually something that is to be useful for your life? So that in like you might have think, why did this mature thought come in? It just came in. That is maybe destiny. So destiny just played its role there, and then the question became is, yeah, that is actually something that actually came in. That is maybe students are learning just because for exams or preparing for exams. They're actually, if I ask him, my co-founder, which I should not speak about, but today my co-founder, if I go and ask him, what is 2 plus 2 or what is 4 times 4 or 4 power 4? Bro, do you have any answer for that about what is 4 times 4?
4 times 4? No.
That's the situation that we are. He's a BTech graduate and he's not knowing about what is 4 times 4. So when we started realizing the learning that we are doing today is not actually being used in our real life. Out of that entire thing, the struggle that students actually have when we say learning, the frustration that they feel, basically that was the ignition point for STEM Quest.
Okay. So this is basically a solution to all
Students'
students'
frustration.
problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So before telling us more about what exactly STEM Quest is, I think we'd like an introduction for our audience of what STEM is exactly.
Okay. So if I had to break it up the name, basically today all of us know who put that name. It was not me nor him. We just went to Chats Ep2 and then we asked it, could you give me a good name for this kind of thing which solves students' problems? And then something that we always had from start is, what is the genre that you like in movies? We have different genres, right? What's your favorite most?
Yeah. Oh, thriller.
Thriller, great. So that was our inspiration.
Okay.
So we started out with Quest, the adventurous quest.
Okay.
So Quest generally means a journey that is thrilling.
Yes.
So then we added this word STEM because that is something that we were taught in United States. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering and mathematics. These are the foundational subjects without which you can even calculate what is 10 rupees minus 5 rupees. When you go to a shop, you ask the bhaiya, मैं 10 rupees दे दूंगा, you give me back this chocolate. And then he has to give you some amount, right?
Yeah.
So if you cannot even solve that basic math problem, how are you going to survive in the real world? He'll just say, sorry, हो गया, आपका हो गया. So that is actually when we started saying, we need to give a good foundation to students for the age group of 6 to 12. So that is when it started out STEM Quest. go on an embarking journey, an adventurous thriller journey for learning STEM concepts. So that is how it started.
That sounds really promising. And as a STEM student myself,
Okay,
I would
that's great to
say
hear.
that that is something we really need.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what is, how do I put it? Tell me more about STEM Quest, the
Sure.
modules,
Okay,
or
sure.
the process.
So if I have to describe it, when STEMQuest was in its initial days, we reached out to people. I am actually truly inspired by one person who I consider to be the god of marketing and companies, to be the god of all companies, which is Apple. So the person who created Apple once said, think different, but make sure you think different from the perspective who you are actually building for.
Okay.
So if you actually got into that story, you would actually get to know he actually even imagined it to the even level of opening an iPhone box. Could you imagine a founder looking even at the packaging of the iPhone box? So we wanted to take it to people because people are your best judges and your users at the end of the day. So we went to people and we asked them, what are the struggles that you actually faced? Maybe today younger children have bigger struggles. It could be love failure, it could be anything. They have bigger struggles. So when we went to them, the first thing that they said is, videos, good. But I'm not able to write that video in my exam. If I write that video in my exam, my teacher is going to give me a big anda. बहुत अंडा ना. और मेरे घर में बहुत सारे अंडे हैं. मुझे और अंडे नहीं करने चाहिए. तो we said, okay, great. We started evaluating what are the different ways in which we could teach children. Could you guess some few? Something that has been very popular in India for a long time.
Well, storytelling is really popular and games are really popular.
Then you must have had some telesyncing between us because that was the answer. At that time, the most popular thing that we could do was sit and see Instagram reels, and then something just popped up on my feed about a story that we have been learning from our very young age. That story was the story of life. It was the Mahabharata.
Okay.
But I've been truly motivated by the amount of effect it had on a single individual. Today, many people follow it, and then it has been showing positive changes. So I said, when a story is having such power, why don't we include that same power even in academics as well? So it started out as a journey where we said, okay, storytelling, very good. तो एक हो गया. पर हमें एक क्वेश्चन था, do we go with Hindi or do we go with English, or is it digital? Is it which language? What are the language barriers that we have? What are the different barriers that we have? So when it actually started out with that, we said, we reached out to parents. And then, do you remember, Lochan, what was the dialogue that parents actually gave us when we said, what type of comics do you actually want? Did they prefer phones?
No.
What was their reaction?
They were like, in the daily life, they're using a lot of mobile phone.
Uh-huh.
But even if we include the phone in the STEM quest, again, there is of no use.
So the major problem that we actually identified, and something that we do as students, we tell our parents we're going to study throughout the night for the exam.
And
We
we
have
just
an
play
exam?
games or
No.
watch stuff on our
People
phone.
have lost playing games. They're on their Instagram chatting with the person that they might meet later.
Okay.
So that is something that most people do, or they watch some Instagram reels, YouTube, something, but they do not do the purpose that is actually. They start, open the PDF on their mobile phone for their exam just 1 hour before. Okay, let's read it. But then at the end of 1 hour, we say, we'll see it later. Exam to ho jayega. So that is the people that thing they have. But we said, okay, then let's try to change this up. Then we went to a printed copy of a comic where students could actually read, because we were targeting 6 to 12. We didn't want their eyes to be very accustomed to the digital world. So we said, go back to the olden day tradition. India is known for its traditional way of storytelling through books.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that. But then, did you ever read a comic book and still remember its story today?
Yes.
Till how much extent?
At least the chief idea.
The
main
synopsis,
idea.
right? So the story only gave you a synopsis. It did not instill that entire concept in you.
Okay, so let me just interrupt you
Yeah.
there. One question I have for you is, how do you see STEM subjects are really technical?
Yeah.
Science, physics, chemistry, even maths for that instance. And how do you put that into storytelling?
Maybe that is something that has been incorporated into the way of storytelling from a very young age. We've just not been able to identify that.
Okay.
Science, when it comes, I'll give you an example. It could be a physics chapter. What is your most difficult physics chapter that you ever faced when you're studying?
The
Let's be open today,
Kinematics.
right?
okay.
Kinematics.
Okay, so I struggled in physics like
That's a struggle that
forever.
everyone has.
I hate that subject.
Okay, that's something that I love. Okay, no worries.
Okay,
So what was
sorry.
your struggle? No worries, yeah.
The electronical, like the Ohm's law and all of those
Great.
part, I
That's
think.
something that we have been working on for an MVP. So it's very easy for me to tell a story on that. Have you ever tried going into bushes when you're young, playing around the bushes?
Yeah.
No? Or yeah? Okay. No worries. So actually, you could tell a story to a young child when he's actually playing around the bush and the ball. So when a rubber ball is actually going in and rubbing, like when you are trying to find a rubber ball, which is like if you're playing cricket, you hit a sixer, it goes and falls in the bushes.
Yeah.
Remember those golden days when we used to play cricket and then when you were a sixer?
Gully cricket.
हाँ, gully cricket. वो तो बड़ा अच्छा था. Reminding ourselves of our own glorious past days. They were fun. So the ball is in a bush, and then when you try to take it out, you just suddenly feel a shock. That was because you were playing with a rubber ball, and that grass actually had some static electricity. So that when you were trying to take that ball out, you were trying to rub it. That rubbing actually created this electrostatic force, which you experience as a shock. It might be shocking, but that is the
It
most
is
easiest
shocking.
example of how electric shocks could be explained to young students.
Okay, so
Triangles, just look around you. You have triangles everywhere. In a clock, each and every portion of the hour,
It's a
you calculate using angles. The giant pyramids of Giza, they're triangles. So you could integrate any concept. If you really know the application well, you can integrate it in any story that you want.
that's really interesting. That is something that I never really thought of.
Yeah, maybe that's why we are a startup and we have thought of it.
Exactly, exactly. Another question I have for you is for building a startup.
Uh-huh.
Of course, it is your idea, and you can justify the idea to the people. But how did you? You obviously need a team of people
Yes,
who
definitely.
think the same way, or at least they have the same end goal.
Yeah, maybe
towards
that's the
STEM
thing which
quest.
started out, right? It's a problem of students. So I had a group
Okay.
of students working with me. So it was not difficult bringing people of the same mindset. All of them had the same frustration. I just raised the word frustration learning and they were, yeah, first I'll be there for you. Yeah. So that is how it worked
Okay.
out. But yeah, definitely the need of a team was very necessary. That maybe you could understand that when you actually understood the entire process of how STEMQuest goes, comics was just a part of it. But just imagining the scale that comics posed, like you know the syllabus, right? 11th grade textbook, chemistry, this much. That too organic. So just imagine the number of topics, number of classes that we actually had to deal with. So it was a gigantic project that we had in mind. It is something like an RRR scale to me. I cannot even imagine of how it would work out in the soon future, but we'll definitely give it a try. But comic was just 1/4 of our entire idea. We tried to move on to that experimental learning. That's something that students always missed out. People definitely love experiments because that gave them a chance to bunk classes, bunk theoretical boring classes which teachers gave. Sorry to be saying that, but let's accept the harsh reality.
Yeah.
So when we provide them with experiments, they could get a real life learning. But sometimes could you try out everything in real life, like firing out a cannon bolt? That is not something that is possible even if I
can't
try it
really do that.
experimentally. So you said we were trying to look for a solution which we could show students that. And then that is when what Destiny has in play again here. WWDC got its conference and in that they launched a product called Vision Pro. It was the world's first mixed reality kit. And then that really blew our minds. And to the extent in which we could actually use technology. Technology is a great thing, right? What do you opine on that?
I think it depends on the use of technology.
A very
I'll just be really
diplomatic
yeah.
answer. That's a very diplomatic answer to be right. So we said, why don't we use it for something good? Education, mixed reality. Why don't we mix those two up? Indians are really good at mixing up stuff and
Yeah.
the pulihora. So that is something that we have actually tried out. So we tried using generative AI to actually go ahead and integrate that to create the curiosity. Something that I believe India is lagging in, why we are not getting many more startups and things is, we are always forced to go in one path, not the other way. We are not allowed to think differently. When I started out, my parents were like, no, entrepreneurship, do a job. That is going to give you your bread and food.
So we've been brought up with a very stereotypical mindset.
Even the learning in school, ये है formula, रट्टा
Solve
मार को,
करो,
हो जाएगा. So you by heart the formula, you go, exam, write, done. If you get
and
an
you
A plus
forget the
grade,
formula immediately
yeah,
after.
yeah. And then that's the way that it works. So unless you try to change that formula, if you forget the formula and write the wrong formula, maybe you might be right. Maybe that's a new formula. If you do not try it out, how do you know that it's wrong? Only if you try it, you'll get to know it's wrong. So we wanted to instigate that curiosity and that hypothetical mindset in students. That was our major goal. So we used mixed reality. But do you think this solved the entire problem, Kritika,
Um,
for a student?
I think. Okay, please answer yourself.
Could you have taken this podcast even without practicing or rehearsing? You might have done many times, right?
No, I need a prep.
You need a prep, right?
Yes.
So you cannot run a marathon without even practicing a marathon. So in
Exactly.
the same way, we could not believe that if students would directly go to the examination, it would not work. Basically, Indian students are not ready for that yet. So that is when we went out to stating that maybe we should have a way in which you can practice a test, but not to get marks. Because what is the one thing that, Lochan, could you just tell me the one thing that makes you drive, run mad, crazy?
Drive run man.
What makes you run like crazy? One name. When the teacher tells you that there is something tomorrow, you run miles and kilometers.
Exams.
Yeah.
Exactly, exams.
Yeah, that's the thing. If there's an exam, I'm telling you literally that bro is going to do instead of a 24-hour hackathon, he's going to do a 24-hour marathon definitely for an exam because students get so scared when they're exam because the reason parents put the pressure on them. They expect an A grade or an O grade. If it's something less, they don't accept it. But I believe tests are actually to see how much did you actually learn. If you did not learn that well, we'll help you learn it.
I think the original idea of exams was to
Test how much you
how
measure,
you've
yeah.
learned.
Yeah.
But we have been based in a
Making
way
up.
where
Yeah.
you get a 90, good. Otherwise, you're
Yeah,
nobody.
even if you do not understand the topic, 90,
Yeah.
it's a really good grade.
Yeah.
So we did not want to travel students, but we did not want to disappoint parents. We were doing a diplomatic trial here.
Okay.
And then when that came out was activities. How many times did you solve a crossword puzzle when you were busy on a restaurant?
Very often.
That was our inspiration. We were very hungry when we were editing all of this. So we said, why don't we include a puzzle where you actually try to solve a question and you try to find that word then.
Okay.
So we have a few questions for you. And then when you solve that, you get a word. Try to find that word instead on the crossword.
Oh.
Or it could be a word maze that you're actually trying to navigate through solving a physics question.
So
interesting
instead
would
of
that be?
it being a boring
Monotonous,
2-hour
yeah.
exam
Yeah.
with a question paper and answer sheet, I get to have fun with it.
Yes, that was
Okay.
the vision that we had. I'm not sure how much it's going to go, how many questions that we can generate out of our very limited minds, but that was our trail. But at the same time, we thought students should get that more and more practice because when you get something wrong, we should tell you, okay, you have got this wrong for this and this reason. Like, how many times did you get a 9 out of 10 in your grades?
See, not to brag about my marks, but I get good grades.
Okay. But did you ever question why did that 1 mark go away? Or were you happy with that 9 out of 10? To be literal.
I'm a very content person.
Yeah, the same thing here too. Who would want to mess with that 1 mark? If you go to the teacher, he's going to cut 1 more extra mark.
Exactly, that's what they do.
Yeah. So we wanted to be different because that 1 mark could be 100 marks later in your future. So he said, we should error guide you. Whenever you did a mistake, let me try to help you. Where did you do that mistake? At that exact step.
Okay.
So that when you got that, we will give you 10 more questions. Check if you got it right this time. So it's an error guided recursive type of platform. That is where so this entire group of different steps of learning, when all of them came together, that built our visionary product, STEMquest.
Okay. And it is not, there's no time bound to this.
No. We believe
So I
learning
can
should
learn
not
at
be
my
pressured.
own pace.
The major issue today, students are getting pressurized. And that pressure boils up today one day and you're going to blow up as a bomb. Maybe not a literal bomb, but it's a saddening fact to me to hear that 13,000 students are committing suicide every day, every year, just because of the failure in examinations. That is the pressure students are facing.
It
And that
is,
something
it
which
is a
saddening.
really
Saddening day.
saddening thing, especially for the youth, because
Yeah.
it we are somewhat inspired, but at the same time it scares us.
Yeah, the pressure.
This
It's
should
too
not happen
overloaded,
with me.
So that is what we've started out with. And to do all of this, I'm no superhuman, no supercomputer. I'm just an individual trying to go on a big change. So I definitely require a team. And today I'm proud to say I have 12 people along with me who are with the same dedication and motivation. And they're definitely trying to look out for a solution to make sure that we do not have much more suicides. And we are able to instill that enjoyment of learning. We want to convert that FOMO into a joymo, where people can start learning for fun rather than being depressed for learning. So that's what we are set out to.
Actually, this is a really good thing because even I have personally noticed that when I go according to the curriculum, like syllabus khatam karna है, while studying or
ठीक है,
during
हाँ.
exam, it's really sad. But even the same subjects
yeah.
which I really enjoy. For example, I really enjoy biochemistry.
Huh.
And I study it in my own time. I really enjoy it. Like,
I'll
oh,
give
this
you a
is
best
really
example.
good. Just because it is in the syllabus,
Yeah.
that feels boring, but it is
Yeah.
actually a good subject.
Yeah, it is. Maybe that is the reason today we are alive, biochemistry.
Yeah.
The chemical processes that are going inside our body, that's the reason why you're alive. So maybe we should be like how as we are grateful for our friend and for grateful for our girlfriend for making us motivated. Maybe we should be even motivated for biochemistry. So that, because that is the reason why we are alive.
Fair. Fair.
And you know, one other example that I felt, when was the first time you learned about light? Any guesses?
Light as a concept, I
Yeah.
think the waves and
Kind of.
I think wave
The light,
particle
sunlight
light.
and all of this?
Uh,
5th grade?
yeah,
roughly?
I think.
Yeah, 5th grade. Did you study it in 6th grade? 7th grade में भी पढ़ा हम.
Huh.
उसके लिए mirrors add आए. We
Yeah.
got added mirrors. Then in 7th lens came.
Oh,
8th
huh.
grade mirror formula came in. 9th grade lens formula came in. 10th grade we had about spectacals. 11th grade prisms. 11th grade we
Yeah.
had prisms. Those gave us a nightmare when solving those questions because those signs, a small change in the sign, पूरा question उड़ जाता था.
Yeah, sine
Isn't
theta,
much.
cos theta.
Huh.
I-
Just forget about it, please. Do not raise
Oh
about
my
theta.
god.
I'm
Please,
not a
I
math
did
genius.
not, I have no idea why I studied half of those things because they're
Yeah.
not related to what I'm
Yeah,
studying now.
yeah.
And
So-
even in our childhood, I think 5th or 6th grade, we are taught perimeter, area.
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to use the perimeter of a
Yeah.
rhombus in my
But
life.
did you realize you have learned the same topic 12 years in your life? The same physics chapter, 8 to 12 years?
Similar, yeah, they're
The
all
same
like-
concept.
Yeah.
So you wasted around 8 months reading the same thing. But you still don't understand the thing.
Okay.
So
Guilty
that's
as
something we should
charged.
question. Yeah, that's something we should question ourselves, right? So that's
Yeah.
the reason why we said, school ko chhod do. No, I'm not literally saying school ko
Okay.
chhod do, but what I'm trying to say is, even though you're trying to learn your academics in school, try to learn that concept as a whole. Learn a concept once as a whole. Do not do it in EMI basis. EMI interest is too high and we're not able to pay that interest back. So do it as a direct payment once. Learn a chapter once, learn it completely. Do not distribute it in EMIs. There is no bank to give you EMIs at the moment. So, yeah.
Fair. Okay. So, is your kit how do I put it? Developed in such a way because your target audience is 6 to 12-year-old students, children, basically. So, for them to understand the concept of light or something similar, it is a pretty detailed concept, to be
Yeah.
honest.
But that's the thing
So
that I
how-
mentioned, right? These all concepts are something that you're using in your daily life.
Huh.
You're just not able to connect them. So what we set out to do is, because 6 to 12 is the foundation. See, if I have a building structure, if I'm constructing a building, then I need to make sure that my foundation is laid well. I know it's an example that many teachers give us when we are young, but we never come to realize that. By the time we realize that when we are in our undergraduation, it's already too late. But I am the best example of a person who is having a good foundation. You can construct a tall building. Not to be bragging, but I have my friend over there who has been playing since he was young with his phones and with girls. So he was playing with people. So that was when today now when he comes to Java class, he says, "Ma'am, please no Java. I'll go to Java and I'll see girls." So that is his reaction. So that is actually what's going to happen.
We are spilling secrets here now.
Yeah. So that's actually the issue that is going on. So when your foundations are not laid right, when you're trying to build a bigger building, a 30-story building or 12-year story building, it's not going to work out. It's going to collapse down. And today we already know the situation what is outside. The recession, the jobs and all of this. Until you're perfect in it, there's no chance of you cracking a job.
Oh, yeah.
So that is the thing that we've actually focused. 6 to 12 is a foundation. So we wanted to make your foundations right so that you can go and construct how much of a bigger building you want. Maybe you can even revolutionize the way that you learn. Would you want to continue your education even after this?
Yes.
We want to instill that in people. Many people want to say, as fast as can I want to finish my undergraduation.
Yeah, actually, in fact, yesterday I was talking to my friend, and a lot of people are like, I just want to finish it off. I don't want to study anymore.
Huh.
Just get a job, get over it. But first thing, people are not getting jobs, which is very real.
Sad.
Second is, it is so good to learn. I enjoy learning. I enjoy studying.
Yeah.
And that is something that I see missing in a lot of people nowadays.
So for that, I have something to say. Knowledge is truly interesting and is really fun. But the way that it's being taught may not be really fun.
Okay.
So that is the problem that we're actually trying to solve.
So STEMquest is basically trying to change the way we impart knowledge to the young minds instead of just pushing them into their minds.
We don't want to be the pushing factor. We want them to be the pulling factor.
Okay.
Push and pull. The physics,
Okay. You're just putting physics everywhere because I mentioned I don't like the subject. Is that so?
Maybe that works out,
Okay. So tell me now, what is the launching of STEMquest? When are we going to access it? Not we.
We
but
wanted to solve this problem really soon.
Okay.
If given a chance and if I had superpowers, I would want to work for 86,500 hours just now, which is basically a year, the amount of seconds and number of minutes in a year, and try to build the solution today itself so that I want to help my brothers and sisters out there to help them learn. But basically, I'm not a supercomputer and I do not have that skill. I'm not a Chats Ep2. So we are trying our best. We are pushing our team. And we hope to reach out to you by the April 9th.
Okay. So that was a sweeter way of saying STEMquest is launching on April 9th.
Yeah.
And where can we find more details?
Sure. You can always check out our website. It is https://stemquest.theananta.in. And make sure to check out the page regularly so that you can run away from this frustration of learning.
Okay. I am definitely going to recommend STEMquest to everyone, and I hope so do our audience. Please check out STEMquest.
Yeah.
And
It's going to solve your problem. It's not our problem. It's your problem.
It is going to solve a lot of problems. I promise you, as a student,
And
I
we'll even
trust
help
that.
you solve problems.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us at Chai Chats, and I hope to see STEMquest really soon doing really good.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope I've been able to tell a good story from the past 1 hour.
Yes, it was amazing. Actually, I didn't realize how time flew. Thank
Same
you
here.
everyone for joining, and I hope you all have a great day. Please subscribe to eClub Geetam for more such videos.
And hope to check out STEMquest too.
Yes, that too.